Hello, everyone. You are listening to Nature's Epyon, the world's worst nature podcast. Maybe it's the best. I don't know how many out there exist, and I don't know how good they are, but I gotta say, mine's probably not the best. So let's try to become the worst. If you're not going to be good at something, you might as well be the worst at something. No one likes people in the middle. Everyone always remembers the winners and the losers. So the podcast isn't dead. It's just had a heart attack. We're bringing it back. It's been on hiatus for a bit. We had one episode kind of in the middle there that I really wanted to do with Ginger. So that was a good episode. But I moved from Ontario to Alberta across the country. So things have been kind of thrown up in the air. I was trying to get like a better studio set up, but I guess we're just going to have to do with what we have and give you what I can. And hopefully you appreciate it. I definitely would appreciate it if you appreciated it, because I'm an appreciator. But we're just going to crack into some articles here. So I'm just basically going to go through my Twitter. This is like a new thing I've done. I got on the Twitter train, since that's like the cool thing to do is get the Twitter. Put that on my Instagram. You find a link there. It's on like, I forget what it's called, but it's like the highlights, I think, of like your stories. So 120 million year old bird fossil from China has some rather unusual dinosaur-like feathers in its otherwise standard avian skeleton, including a weirdly T-Rex-like skull. So the interesting thing about this article when I read it was that typically birds are hard to find in the fossil record. They have very porous, dainty, delicate, tiny little bones. Basically me, but in bird form. Those birds, they're hard to find, scavengers, fungus, decomposers basically obliterate the bones before there's any sort of chance of fossilizing, and it takes a long time for bones to fossilize, obviously. But so there's very rarely evidence of birds, and finding this may be a good sign for some of the people out there that believe in dragons. Yes, dragons. There are people out there that believe that perhaps once upon a time dragons existed, and perhaps maybe I am one of them. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Am I crazy? You tell me. But anyway, here's the reasoning behind it. They think that if dragons existed, and every culture basically across the globe from a long time ago has these stories of dragons, these reptile-like fire-breathing monsters that just had wings and this and that, and they're like terrible. But let's try to imagine if it was like an animal. If it was like an animal, I'm thinking dinosaur, I'm thinking pterodactyl, I'm thinking it's like a T-Rex with wings, because it's got those tiny little arms like a giant chicken with dinosaur teeth. But it's possible in that if it was able to fly, it would have bones similar to that of a bird. And because birds have very porous, delicate, tiny little bones, that if these dragons existed, in order to fly, they would have a similar skeletal structure, and therefore there wouldn't be any fossilized remains left of them, because they would decompose, be taken away from scavengers, etc., etc. And if they were a problem for humanity, like they actually did like try to eat us and stuff, we would probably try to hunt them and kill them off as best as we could. And maybe that's where the stories of like these strong knights and hunters and whatever fighting the dragons came from. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But it's fun to want to believe, and I want to believe. So we might roll with that. But until we get further evidence, we're going to have to say probably not true. But I want to believe, because believing is fun. So, moving on to something a little bit more realistic, we have cave paintings with dots or lines near the animals in them. So across the world, whenever you see cave paintings, it's usually of animals, and it's believed that these animals were the ones that they hunted. You know, they would draw pictures of them. This was like the story of the day, great hunt, blah, 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 blah. You know, in some circumstances, we find evidence of them painting animals that shouldn't have been in that region or that part of the world at the time. But obviously, they probably were, and they're telling a story about hunting them. And, you know, we just have forgotten or lost the evidence of them, or just haven't found the evidence of those animals existing in that area back then. But anyway, so on these cave paintings across the world, no matter what ancient, you know, caveman it was in any part of the world, typically and usually what you'll find is little dots beside these pictures of these, like, it'll be like Irish elk, or you know, moose, or, you know, gazelle, like whatever it might be. And people used to think this was like a tally of like how many they killed or how many are in the area or whatever. But it appears to be that there's a correlation between those dots and like moon cycle patterns, and perhaps linking it to migration and how those animals moved. So like those dots or those like tick marks would represent, you know, the lunar cycle. Like each dot would be like, that's like the fourth moon of the year, and that's when they migrate or whatever. They think that either means that or means like reproductive, breeding, you know, some sort of season indicated to that, to know what animals are bountiful and when and why. And it's sort of like that calendar, and that cave would be like, you know, maybe if other cave people came wandering around, they walk into the cave and be like, all right, well, what's there to eat in this area? And they look at the, you know, the cave drawing, like, oh, all right, cool. There's bison and a couple moons, and we're on the third moon, and it's on the sixth, and, you know, now we're good for elk. So maybe that's what that was for. But it's super cool to think that, like, you know, they think that this would be the earliest example of like a lunar calendar or something very like close to it before it's actually been invented. So it's cool to think that people were thinking before they needed to be thinking, you know. So one last article, what do we got here? It's you can't keep a good clam down. So rare clam thought to be extinct found alive. So, a tiny clam previously only known from fossil records has been discovered alive in the tide pools of Santa Barbara by researchers from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History. The discovery of the new species is always exciting, but it can be even more when a species is thought to be extinct is found alive. So, basically, I think this clam existed in the fossil record, but I never really found it. And I guess some people decided, hey, let's look in this pool of water, and bam, look at that, we found it. And I don't know, there's tons of stories like that when it comes to like marine life. My buddy sent me a link the other day about them finding more coelacanths. You might remember back from like the early 2000s, there's like this big gnarly looking fish that they thought was only alive during like Jurassic period or Triassic, I don't know, long ago, I can't remember. But you know, they found it, I think it was in the Amazon or something, but now they found some like off the coast of the Madagascar island there, or just Madagascar, and there's like a whole like colony of them probably or something like that. So that's really cool that, you know, the ocean still has a lot to uncover, and it's crazy to think that even stuff just off the coastline has been remaining a mystery for so long, and there's like a lot to discover out there. You know, a lot of our planet is covered in water. It probably shouldn't be called Earth. It should probably more accurately be called water, since like it's mostly water, but I guess on the surface, but well, at its core, it's probably not Earth either. Or under it, probably like mantle, which isn't, you couldn't really call it Earth. Anyway, I've lost my complete train of thought. The discovery of the oceans and looking under them. There's more to be discovered. And, there's a little bit still left to be discovered on Earth as well. A lot of a lot of countries on Earth, prone to war, long periods of time, very unstable, very unsafe to go. Can't really get in there and, go deep into like the jungles and find these like exotic species and stuff like that have been hidden forever because, one, you can't safely get to it on a normal day, let alone with war and stuff going on and no supply chains or supply routes to kind of sustain yourself. So, yeah, maybe, one day if there's like world peace or peace in these regions, we can go on to find some many cool things about our planet still left to be found. But until then, the ocean's got a lot left to discover. And I don't know, I look forward to it. I like how there's still a bit of mystery in the world. With the modern day, like with the internet and a lot of, communication just being instant and everyone being able to share everything and like everything just at our fingertips and this device in our pockets, it takes away a lot of mystery from the world. And I think maybe that's the reason why a lot of people cling to like cryptozoology or like UFOs or the paranormals, because we crave discovery. We crave like finding new things, and the more fantastic they are, the more we want to discover them and, unravel the mysteries of the earth, and then one day maybe unravel the mysteries of the universe. But I'm going to digress a bit from all that. I just want to talk a bit about what I've been up to and what I've been, my little journeys and stuff through Canada and coming out west. So last year, 2022, I decided I wanted to move closer to where nature is best, where the wildlife is best. So I found myself a job. It was, it's relatively the same paying and decent kind of job as I had before. And I was like, all right, just got to make the change. And I did it. It wasn't easy. I had to pack up everything that I owned into like a storage container. And then I left the storage container in my driveway, drove across the country, and arranged to have the storage container moved by the company. It's quite expensive. And eventually I got here. I had a place set up to rent for a bit, but then I ended up actually not needing that place and moved in with some family for a while. And my storage container was shipped to Alberta, and yeah, it's still being kept in storage, and I'm building a new home, and once that's done, then I'll empty out the contents of the container into my new place. Right now I don't really have anywhere to put it because I'm just staying with family. But yeah, I mean, that trip was pretty hectic. So what happened was, I was on vacation. I was actually vacationing in Banff and Jasper at the time. And, I want to say, was it January, February, March, April? I want to say it was May or early June. I was vacationing in, like Banff and Jasper and stuff. And I was doing like the whole Rocky Mountain tour thing. And when I didn't think I was getting this job, I had basically given up and said, okay, I'm not getting the job. While on vacation, the mountains are a really spotty place for getting reception and cell service. And eventually I made it into like this like turn-in spot where there is cell phone service. And I checked my phone. My phone had like a bunch of notifications, like, call me back, Call them back. They say, oh, hey, like you were on a short list to call. We're going to offer you a job here. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, I'll take that. And I took the job. Now, here's the awkward part. I was on vacation with a girl I was dating, wonderful, wonderful woman. And basically, I had held off on dating for a while because I was really trying to get a job that was across the country in a different province. And I know that it's not really good for relationships, and especially like if someone's not ready to move or doesn't want to, like they're not going to come. So I didn't want to like have that kind of like heartache or whatever to happen in a relationship. But because I thought I wasn't getting it, I was like, all right, might as well start dating again because, you know, life is meant to be lived. And I basically had to accept this in front of her, and it was kind of awkward, but I think I had her in the loop about it, like that it might happen. And I think, no, I did. And I think she said she was like down at a certain point to do it. And like, but I don't know how certain she was. She might have just been like, you know, blowing smoke. But anyway, so I get to finish the rest of the vacation. I think it was like 3 more days left of just, you know, hanging out, having a good time, camping, that sort of stuff, exploring the great outdoors. And then I get back and I realize this was a short notice call. They were like, basically like, you got to be here in a week. So I started doing the math. By the time I got back, I had a week, and I had to get my house up for sale. I had to get everything packed into a storage container. And then I had to have to give myself 3 days to drive across the country. So really, being there in a week meant leaving in 4 days, putting my house up for sale and on the market within those 4 days, and packing everything into a storage container. Oh, and I was trying to finish the basement so I get top dollar for before I sold it. So I began work immediately so I booked off all the time I had possible at my previous job. Just maxed it all out. All the time I had bank that I hadn't used, vacation, all that stuff. And then my buddies came over. They helped me, you know, finish as much as the basement as possible. God bless them. My friends are such good friends. They are there for me through thick and thin, and you know they'll support like all these things that I do, and they're there for it even when it sucks. Because finishing basement kind of sucks, you know, but they were there for it. I got the house up on the market. I got everything into the storage container. Now this was a fiasco. I started to fill that storage container a day before I had to leave, I think, or maybe like 2 days. But however it fell, I ended up working from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m., 8 a.m. the next morning. And that's when I had everything into the container. And I had everything packed into like totes and all that stuff. And I don't even have that much stuff. I try to live as a minimalist and only try to have things that serve a function or purpose. So when I was packing this up, it was like I couldn't believe how much stuff I had. And I had like a fire sale. Like I just started throwing things away into the garbage. I also had like a big big garbage bin. I filled that up too. Try to get rid of everything. Just purge. And then 8 a.m. the next morning, I had to start driving. I was like, I don't got a lot of time. I got to be there. It's like a 36-hour drive across the country to get to where I need to go. And I got to start Monday, and I think it was like Friday morning at that point. So I was like, if I leave now, I can be there like sometime Sunday afternoon, which will give me like a little bit of leeway before I need to be there. And then, I'm driving like throughout the Friday, and like they're giving me like last minute calls of like little like documents and stuff they need. And I'm just like, I have no way of getting these documents right now. Like I'm driving through like the backcountry of Canada where there isn't even like cell reception half the time, and you have to gas up every gas station you go to make it to the next one. And I don't know, it was a beautiful trip. I've done that drive a couple of times, but that drive's a long one, and it's really beautiful. Lots of wildlife along the way that I recorded as well. Lake Superior is gorgeous. Just watching the sunsets and the sunrises. I would just pull into like trucker stops and kind of just sleep in my car when I could. When I was feeling tired, I'll slip, like Forrest Gump. But I just hauled all the way. I was so exhausted. I was so tired. Like it was so hard to find like good food to eat too, because it's like nothing forever. You're basically just eating fast food. And yeah, but I made my way across the country. It was such a surreal feeling, kind of just, yeah. Got there on time, got everything sorted along the way. And then, yeah, I started kind of like my new life, and I had like every weekend off. So every weekend I was in the mountains. You can go to my Instagram and check it out. Basically, I had like an upload every week of what I was doing. I was just like hanging out in the mountains, Banff, Jasper, Yoho, Kootenay, like you name it, like Revelstoke, like all of the parks, like all of them. If it had a mountain, I was there. If it had a like trail, I was hiking it. If there was, an animal, I was recording it. If there was, like a lake, I was, I didn't have any watercrafts, but if I did, I'd be canoeing on those, paddling on those. And I don't know, I had the time of my life. It's the greatest thing ever. Unfortunately, me and the girl at the time, like, yeah, we decided to break up, or she broke up with me. I don't really remember how it all fell apart, but I mean, it was a short-lived relationship, so like it wasn't that like upsetting for either of us, I don't think. And then I just started kind of like casually dating people and stuff like that, but not really anything serious. Just kind of like, going out on dates. And then I decided like looking for a new home, looking for a place to buy. Couldn't find anything really worth buying. So I decided to build my own place, but that's going to take a few more months. And then I put an order in for a truck. So I'm hoping to get that new truck soon. But like the way everything works here is that because of like the pandemic, it's a waiting list for like vehicles. So I'm not going to get that, Tacoma for a while. And I ordered that back in the summer, but I should be by like next month. I should be getting that. So I don't got a truck, and I don't got like my own place. So I don't know. Dating ain't exactly my forte, my strong suit right now. But maybe it will be in the future, because it's, how lame is that? Like you're trying to like pick up some girls, and you're just like, hey, you want to come back to my my uncle's place? My chill in the basement. Like it doesn't I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me. I don't shake confidence with that sort of thing for some reason. Like, it's like, hey baby, like how are you doing? Like, want to come over to my mom's basement? It's like, it's not a good look. It's not a good vibe. Maybe it can work out. I don't know. Maybe there's some girls out there like think you're just like really cute or something, but I don't know. For me, I don't even know how to swing that. Like, I feel like you can go on like a couple like first dates and stuff like that. But if you want to start getting serious, like you want to come over to my place, and you're just kind of like, it's like, oh, when are you going to invite me over to your place? Or like they ask about your living situation on like the first or second date. You're just kind of like, oh fuck, I don't know. Like, and then you want to like lie to them. But I don't know. For me, maybe it's not the worst, because it's like, oh, this is my situation right now. But most people, like, they don't got the time for that. They're like, oh, okay, so like call me back in like 6 months when you're not a loser, and we'll see how it goes, type of thing. But yeah, that's where I'm at now, and I'm really glad I made the move. There hasn't been anything disappointing so far. I've really enjoyed all of it. The best parts about it are the beautiful mountains. They're breathtaking. It's the most beautiful part of Canada. Like these mountains, like nothing beats mountains. They're massive. The wildlife, there's this charismatic megafauna everywhere. Like they're huge. Like even in like the prairie towns, like, you'll see like mule deer and deer and stuff and moose. Like they'll just kind of be walking through the towns and stuff. If you go, sometimes we get lucky, you go a little further north or a little more into the mountains, you can get like the northern lights. So like even the nighttime's beautiful. You get lots of like these like halos / like rain, I think they call them like rain dogs, where like the sun's piercing through like the ice crystals in the air, and it just creates like this really beautiful halo like around the sun that kind of like extends all the way around it, and it's like shooting light beams out the sides. Looks really cool. What else do we got? Like it's insane. Like all the turquoise and green lakes that they have, which is caused from like water coming down the mountains, taking some of the minerals. These minerals have like a color to them when they're floating in water. So you get all these like really beautiful colored lakes. I don't know, like it's just everything's just like amazing. Like that's up my alley, right? Like I got like you're listening to this. It's a nature podcast. Like I did everything like kind of like for my own well-being. Like I feel like you live out here. Like Canada's got the most amount of like Olympic athletes in like the Rocky Mountains. Like the altitude's just like healthy for you. Like and the hiking's like healthy for you. So I want to do like more hiking and stuff. So I did that. I was hiking like every weekend. Like I was just getting out there. Just went for it. I don't know. So that's why the podcast has basically had a heart attack. It's not dead. It just had a heart attack. So I'm going to try, and I didn't, for a long time, I was really putting off doing a solo episode like this because I didn't want to just do solo episodes all the time. But I found it harder and harder to kind of get guests on here. Some people are very apprehensive about talking. And then, they kind of like half commit to things and then kind of bail on you last minute. And that kind of falls apart like that. And if one of you all that bailed on it, or, it sounds like I'm talking about you, don't feel bad. No hard feelings. Like, we'll get you on here maybe eventually if you want to. But that's just how it is. That's just how life is. That's how people are. That's how I am sometimes. So don't feel like there's like awkwardness or like you can't do it ever again, or you can't talk to me ever again, or do you think I don't like you or something, or maybe you don't like me, and that's cool. I can cope with that. But yeah, just trying to do some more podcasts, try to do some more photography, which I'm terrible at, and everybody on my Instagram is way better than me, but I don't know, I still like it. Like I still like doing it as a hobby. I'm not trying to be the best. I should probably try to improve it though. But I do got a little secret to share. I've shared it a couple times on Insta. It's like a preview of what's to come. And that's I'm working on a little amateur nature documentary for put that right on YouTube. Been focusing a lot more on YouTube. I always kind of put all my effort into Instagram, and I feel like that was like a road to nowhere. I felt like, oh yeah, I get like a bunch of followers on Instagram. It's like there's no, like, the ways to monetize that are like way too difficult. It requires like, I don't know, just like these like third parties wanting to reach out to you to give you money to like advertise things, and I don't know, that doesn't always jive with me, man, because I've followed like some people that had like really good pages, and then they got onto like the ads, and they started like sharing ads that weren't on brand. Like they were very off brand. Like they'd be putting out ads for like like sex stuff and stuff like that. It's like, dude, like you take pictures of deer, like why are you trying to sell me a sex doll or fleshlight? Like, and it's just weird. And like I try really hard to keep my algorithms clean, right? So I don't know if you know this, but depending on what you look at and how long you keep it on like your phone screen and how long you watch it, like Instagram and these social media things will start recommending you more things like that. So if you like a lot of pictures of a certain thing, or even if you don't even like it, you just keep it on your screen locked on there so it knows you're like staring at it a bit longer. It'll show you more of those things. So mine was pretty clean. It's basically just nature, wildlife, that sort of stuff. So when I saw that kind of stuff come on it, and nothing against it if that's what your Instagram looks like, but I don't know. I try to like, for some reason I wanted to keep my Instagram a temple. I was like, this is my temple, my social media temple, and I just wanted to keep it clean, I don't know about you, but I keep my side of the street clean. But yeah. When I saw those things, I was just kind of like, oh, I can't be watching it. Because, like, I go on Instagram, I don't want someone at work or, family member seeing me, like, scrolling through my stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're looking at that, you perv. Like you're sitting at like wherever you are, that dentist, or like like you're picking up someone from school, or like, yeah, I don't know, it's a bad look, it's grimy, and I just want to, like, be able to go through my Instagram whenever and not have to worry about grimy. So if I don't follow a couple people, and sorry about that, you guys had solid pages, but you fell prey to the money meme. Make money now, but I don't know, maybe you lose in the long run, buddy. I don't know. You gotta sell what's on brand, like outdoor equipment or gear or something like that. Or stuff that's like family friendly, if you're like a family friendly person or whatever. But you can have like different channels and stuff, so I don't know, you could rock that. But yeah, so the nature documentary, I think it's gonna be about 40 minutes in length, and maybe 45, maybe 50. I've been cutting a lot of stuff out as I go through. Like I said, I'm a terrible photographer, terrible videographer, so trying to make a lot more of it bearable means cutting out a lot of minutes here and there of shaky footage. Or if it is shaky, trying to make it a little bit more bearable through, like, I don't know, audio. I still have to do a lot of script writing for it. I've only done a little bit of the script, maybe like the first clip. Each animal featured in the doc is going to have a part written for them, and then I have to record over it. And I'm going to do voice acting for it. For some reason, I've decided to go with some sort of like weird British accent. I find it's more appealing. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm kind of a weirdo, and that kind of matches into my personality. But I think after you watch it, you'll be like, oh, well, it makes sense. It seems pretty fitting, and it actually probably sounds better. But yeah, so I still have to do the script, and I still have to do the voiceover, and I have to record it all and then put it all on. How far is it along? All the footage is uploaded. I would say more than half of the sound is done, like music and stuff, because some stuff is just ambient, kind of like the background noise. When I recorded and it was good, I was able to keep it, but some footage had like really bad wind or like very powerful like river sounds that didn't seem to be of good sound quality, so those were removed. And then in place of that, I was thinking, maybe just suitable music that kind of fits it. And then I'll probably do voiceovers across them all. I was thinking some of them don't really require a voiceover, because they could just be entertaining watching it on its own with like a decent like matching music to go along with it. But we'll see. There's a little bit of stories I want to tell in there. There's a lot of information that I find very intriguing and interesting that I want to share with you all, and I want to put it all in. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I worked on it tonight a little bit before I did like my Instagram post there of the bighorn sheep. Yeah, I was going to put like the snapping turtle footage in there, but I was talking over it a lot and it's very lengthy. I could have probably cut down the length and then just put like ambient sound over it or a music track and just sort of talking about it a little bit. Maybe I'll add it back in. But you see, the snapping turtle, it kind of doesn't fit the rest of the motif of the documentary, because it seems to be very like mammal based, like mammals and birds and sort of just like mountain and forest. And I had that footage back from Ontario, and there's a couple other things from Ontario that have kind of snuck their way in there, but I don't know. I feel like the snapping turtle thing, I don't know, it's kind of like a good video on its own, and it's already on YouTube, so I felt like kind of reusing that footage, because I am reusing some, but reusing that entire footage was probably a bit much. And yeah, so I wasn't going to do it again, and I just wasn't enjoying it. Like when I was going through the editing process of this, I'm like, I'm not enjoying putting this piece in. Like I feel like I'm just putting this piece in because I have it and want to use it. And it, like, the snapping turtle does look cool. It looks like basically like Bowser from Mario. Like, looks badass, but I was like, I can't do it. I don't love it. It didn't seem right. Plus, it seemed like the editing was like endless. So I don't know. I still got like a bit of like transitioning and blending to do in between the scenes and the sounds and the music. And then once that's all done, once all the video is together, like all the clips are there, it's just some of them need like better transitioning, like fade in and outs, or like blending over and sort of like transitioning. And then, but once all that's done, and then there's a couple of things I can probably cut out that are too shaky. And then once all that's done, and I'm kind of at the same time I'm putting in my ambient sounds, or I'm detaching the audio from it and placing it, you know, where it needs to be. And once that's all done, then I can do the script writing. And I think what I'm going to do is write a script, record it, put it in, and then do the next animal, and just kind of like plug away by the next animal instead of just like going through it all at once like I am now. I think that's a better way to do it, because then it's just like, okay, let's say I got like 20 animals featured in this documentary. It's like every time I get one down, it's like, boom, I'm 120th the way there, 220th, like 3 out of 20, 4 out of 20. And then it's just like, I get more systematic about it. And when I can see I'm actually progressing, again, I'm like, okay, now I'm like 5 out of 20, it's 1/4. And then once I'm 10, I'm like, I'm halfway there. It's been hard. And like, sometimes like my first plan on when I was doing it was just to kind of like, just keep doing it. But then it felt like work. And then I wasn't loving it. And because I wasn't loving it, I was like, crap, I can't keep doing this. I gotta do it so I love it. So I took a step back for a little bit. I went snowboarding for the first time in not for the first time. I went snowboarding on a real mountain for the first time, not like Mount Tremblant in Quebec, or not Blue Mountain in Ontario, but like a proper mountain. I went to Marmot Basin in Jasper National Park, and it was unreal. And that was like the best snowboarding I've ever had in my life. Tremblant's pretty good, don't get me wrong, but Marmot Basin was amazing. It was just really great for snowboarding, especially when you're not like very advanced like me, or kind of just like very beginnerish. You know, it was awesome. And the way the parking lot set up, like you drive up the mountain, the parking lot is like part way up, you know, the hill. So you basically walk to the edge of the parking lot, put on your gear, and then you slide down into the lifts, and then get your lift tickets and stuff. And basically at the end of the day, you slide back down the mountain, you can like slide right back to your car. Like, it's just perfect. There's no shuttles. There wasn't a crazy amount of people. It was great. It was amazing. And everyone I talk to, everyone says different things. They say Marmot's better than Sunshine and Banff and Lake Louise because it's not a massive tourist trap. Less people come here. They say Banff is more ski oriented, more difficult for snowboarding, lots of flats. They say Lake Louise is better for that, but it doesn't have as many runs. So it's kind of like more boring. You're doing more repetitive runs. Marmot Basin has a ton of runs, and you can change it up as much as you want. You know, I feel like it's got like 3 different peaks you can kind of go from, ranging in difficulty. Yeah, it was unreal. It was wild. I really loved it. Yeah, so I think that's about all I got to share with you guys. That's the update. Sorry I used to have like a thing where it's like I got to do one podcast a week, once a week, and just kind of team consistent. But it just, I don't know, life comes at you fast, man, and you got responsibilities to deal with, and you got to take care of business. And, you know, if I can only record on like the weekend, because that's like when I feel like I got the most time. And then it's like, well, I'm going on a camping trip, or I'm going snowboarding, then there ain't no podcast happening. So basically, between having to take care of business, whether it was like trying to get a house built, trying to buy a truck, you know, just whatever other banking and all this like nonsense stuff that life throws at you, or whether it's, you know, recreation, having fun. I don't know, the podcast slid, and I'm sorry for that. And I hope some of you come back and start listening to it again, or I hope you're still subscribed wherever you're subscribed to, whether it's on like Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or what have you. And you're just like, damn, I miss this guy. Like, going to listen to them again, and we had some episodes like randomly go viral. That's great. Like, I should have capitalized on that. I did not, and whatever. I do this for fun. Obviously, everyone wants their fun to be success, but there's so many people out there that don't. So we're just going to enjoy the good times. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. You're all buttes. You're all gents. You're all ladies out there. And yeah, that's it. So until next time, cheers.